Hello, my name is Nick Pope, formerly from the British UFO Desk, and you're listening to the Galactic Family Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Galactic Family Podcast, everyone. Today, we are honored to host a special guest from the Raëlian movement, a unique philosophy that blends science, peace, and the belief that humanity was created by an advanced extraterrestrial civilization known as the Elohim. Get ready for a thought-provoking conversation about cosmic origins, cloning, consciousness, and the future of human evolution. Oh my God, I can't even say that word. Evolution. We are glad and happy to welcome Jerry Barker, Raëlian Southeastern Guide, U.S. to the Galactic Family Podcast. How you doing, Jerry?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on, Jay. It's a pleasure.
I'm happy to have you on here, man. Real happy. I'm glad we talked, and man, I don't think we could have got off the phone.
No, it was wonderful. It was a beautiful conversation, and thank you so much for this contact. Really and truly, it was like meeting myself again, speaking to you. It's beautiful to see a brother of truth out there, and you're doing a wonderful thing, bringing this type of thing out to the public, and I praise you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, sir, for what you do. You guide lost souls and mentor them, and that is just that's right in my heart, sir.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. Who is Raël, and how did his encounter with the Elohim begin this movement?
Okay. Well, in 1973. Raël had a contact with an extraterrestrial named Yahweh. And over the course of 6 days, he gave him a message for humanity, a message of peace, love, the past history of humanity, and the potential future. And so over those 6 days, I'll get down to the nuts and bolts of it. They told him that there is no God. And that the prophets that started the 7 major religions were sent by the Elohim themselves, and they are not gods, but an extraterrestrial race, civilization. And it was the scientists of their world that came and created life here. And they asked him to build an embassy to welcome them back. But there are some requirements. Most importantly, that the world must become peaceful before they come back. And so the major initiative of the Raëlian movement is one, to demystify God, another, to build an embassy to welcome the extraterrestrials, the Elohim, and then most importantly, to help bring about world peace.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And now, is that the core messages he received then from the Elohim?
Yeah, I'd say that's the core.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did the Elohim explain to him how the creation of life on Earth actually happened, or did they walk him through anything of the creation story?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. So they gave they gave their explanation of what happened here. So, for example, I can refer to Genesis in the Bible and the creation story there, and that it took 7 days to terraform the planet and create life. Well, in fact, in reality, they explained to him that it took just over 2,000 years to terraform the planet. And really, I got to start this story a bit at the beginning, kind of like we did the other day. And there's a timeline of the Elohim. So, for example, we are in a time in our history where we're discovering atomic energy, were capable of manipulating DNA and doing genetic research and things to that nature. Well, the Elohim had reached a time era on their planet where they were doing the same thing. And they had actually created new life synthetically. And at that time, the public opinion on their planet was supporting them. But after some things happened, public opinion turned against them, and they were forced by the government of their world to leave their world and perform their tests or their
So they're scientists, pretty much.
exactly.
Okay.
And so when they came to the planet Earth, it was one giant ball of water, and they terraformed this planet by massive explosions into the ocean, water going into those areas, exposing the higher areas, and they compiled the dirt and the soil and the earth into one large continent of Pangea.
Okay.
You may remember that from some of our studies in high school, but when they created this original continent of Pangea, they took 7 laboratories and placed around that continent, and there began to do their studies on creating life here, beginning with single-celled organisms, and moving from there onto plant life, and from plant life to animal life, and from animal life to eventually human life. And there's a long story behind that of what not being allowed and then happening, and a beautiful history that does entail. But so the Yahweh gives an explanation of our past history and the things that happened. But I'd like to say, though, we talked about this before, within the Raëlian movement, the Raëlian philosophy, our history and how it happened is only a small portion of the philosophy. Really, you understand that it's a satisfying notion to know that there is no God and that extraterrestrials created life. But what's important is how to live happy now in this time era. Okay. And what's incredibly fulfilling about being part of the Raëlian organization itself, attending the happiness academies. Okay. And those happiness academies or at those academies, the teachings that the Elohim taught to Raël while he was with them are taught there. Okay. Awesome. And so the guides that he has taught throughout his time now teach in those seminars. And actually, myself am a product of his guides. It was 15 years I've been in the organization before I met him personally myself. And so as such, I was trained entirely and completely by the Guides for Humanity. And I'll let you go ahead with any questions, Jay.
Wow. It's amazing, though. It really is, to know that there's someone out there that cares enough about us to care. You know what I mean? They could have came past this planet and said, another planet. You know, and maybe life would have happened like it would have, and maybe we would have been apes that evolved, but they thought this place was special. And you know, and they stopped and they said, wow, this is it. You know, they're scientists. They looked at this planet and was like, this is perfect. You know, we can do this. And
they were looking when they were forced to leave their planet. Okay, they were looking for another planet in the within the Goldilocks zone, not too not too hot, not too cold. And it says within his book, and I recommend for everybody to download his book. It's called Intelligent Design: Message from the Designers, and you can download it absolutely for free on his website. That's rael.org. Okay, and so. In that book, he talks about how they were forced to leave their planet by the government of the world. But the very first place that they went was apparently too close for the government at that time. And they destroyed all work on that planet. And then they left and went to another and created life again. And I believe that one is a planet entirely covered in plant life. And I believe there was
So there was a couple places they had
I
stopped.
believe it was a couple times they
Okay.
attempted to create life before they ended here on Earth.
Okay.
And then actually, I'll say this as well. Once they created life on here on Earth, that it says in the messages that they created life on 2 other planets after ours, and to ensure that
Life
humanity
would survive.
exactly continues to exist. And in
That
fact,
is
we are in competition with those 2 other planets, and to earn the inheritance of our creators.
wow. That's pretty deep.
And I've heard that we may become in contact with them before we meet the Elohim. And so, as such, in that circumstance, it's I believe Rael has said that we have to give this message to those people as well. So, our brothers and sisters in space.
So when humanity was ready, they came down, and do you believe that the Elohim chose? Now I'm gonna butcher his name, but Claude, is it Claude or
Claude, yeah, Claude
Claude?
Lorian.
Okay. Do you
His French
believe they chose him as their messenger to deliver this message?
Actually, in his second book, which is
Yes.
after his contact in 1975, they explained to him that they actually created him synthetically as well, in the same way that Jesus, Moses, Elijah, and the other 40 other prophets that were created. So I believe, to my understanding, they synthesized the DNA of Yahweh in combination with Rael's mother, okay, and she birthed a child that became Claude.
Well, it makes sense though. Look what we're doing now. As a human species, like we're bringing back the woolly mammoth, you know?
Well, I certainly believe the manipulation of DNA and genetics is a possibility to create life through the means of cloning and things like that. Sure, we can get there at some point too.
So how do you interpret though the religious figures that you do see in the Bible though? Like there's different ones like Jesus, Buddha, are they all representations of like a series of people that were chosen at that time period?
And to my understanding, okay, the Elohim are educating humanity based on the level of technology and the vocabulary of that time era. So they would send, let's just take, for example, the time era of Jesus.
Okay.
They said they sent him there to spread their message. Okay.
Yes.
And then exactly how much time later, I'm not certain, but let's say 100 years later, they sent the prophet Muhammad through the exact same area, profiting the exact same message, just with a vocabulary updated to that particular time era. And so, as such, as to my understanding, still that has happened repeatedly over and over and over again on through Joseph Smith onto the final prophet being Raël himself. So that's saying that they will send no more, and that Raël is the last. And his message is the same message that was said in the past, but with a vocabulary of 1973.
Okay.
And so even when we read the messages today in 2025, it's very easy to see the vocabulary of 1973 and the explanations that they were giving to him based on the vocabulary of that time era. And actually in 2025, we can elaborate further on some of the things that they were describing in their little, with, I don't want to say mystical terminology, but using terms like lasers and, terminology for science and what we would consider science fiction at that time. 73. So the message is constantly being updated by the level of technology on the planet at that time.
And the intellect that we have too at that time, because
the capability of understanding it. And so in 1973, there were many people whose brains were sufficiently capable of understanding it at that time. And even today, though 50 years later, there are brains that are not capable yet of understanding that piece of information. And you yourself have been through, I'm sure. I looked through some of your podcasts, brother. You've been through a lot of people. And so some of those people, like myself, I just 15 years ago became capable of understanding information like this. Prior to, I would say the terminology waking up, or maybe, prior to discovering the messages, I was at a density that wasn't capable of recognizing information like we're talking about today.
Yeah, I wouldn't say waking up. I'd say you had an awakening.
There you go. What good terminology. Thank you. Yeah. And so some people are ready in 73.
Okay.
And some people are not ready in 2025. And that's evident by our news and things like that. We can see the murder and destruction that's going on, and the Palestinians. So everybody's on their own journey, okay, an awakening. And the entire planet is going through this journey and awakening. And imagine being the Elohim waiting for us all to come to this space where you and I are. We're in open arms
how many
right now,
thousands of years has it been? And they're in space going, man, are these humans ever gonna get this?
But right here, we're at the last stretch. We're at the last mile. There's so many of us are ready and willing and wanting for this new reality that it's unstoppable in this moment. But we have to have compassion for the others that aren't ready yet, right? Because you weren't ready. Let's just say there was a time that you weren't ready. And there certainly was a time where I wasn't ready. And this I have to break back to being part of the Happiness Academies. I was able to, kind of break down my ego in these places and learn about things like humility and humbleness and compassion. And these are things that I wouldn't have really learned had I not been part of this organization, because my education at that time had really been, just government, high school, and really our cultural and everything that goes down, inside of a high school, and the social environments and things like that really doesn't have anything to do with awakening. So, fortunately for me, you might want to get to this at some point, but fortunately for me, I stumbled across the Ancient Alien series 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And that sparked something inside of me that really made me want to, search this inner feeling that I had about extraterrestrials and their creation process, here on Earth.
Yeah, and when you searched that, like when you were on your journey, what did you find out was like the meaning of, because the Elohim seems like a meaning of like, okay, we are all humans. They are all Elohim. Is that how it is, or is that how they want us to perceive them?
Okay, so to understand your question a little bit, I'm going to say, let's just describe what the terminology Elohim is. So Elohim is the term from the Hebrew Bible that was placed on our creators, and that means those who came from the sky. Okay, so that doesn't mean a whole lot. It really doesn't. It doesn't mean this particular Andromedan galaxy. It doesn't mean Palladian galaxy. It doesn't mean.
It just means they came from the sky.
Exactly. And actually, what they said is, you may call us Elohim because that's what the first of you did.
Oh, okay.
And so as so I was saying, that's really just it's just something, or a name we're giving them to call a civilization. But imagine, there's the civilization that was okay. So there's a civilization that created us, but there was a civilization that created them, and then created the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that. And imagine the side subsidies of all of these, and then in the infinite number of the civilizations that exist out there. So we do have our creators, but they are just one of an infinite number of extraterrestrial species that exist. And we look like them because they created us in their image, in this human looking form. But that is not to deny the fact or possibility, let's say this, the possibility that other forms of humanoid type exist.
Okay.
And what that may look like in the terms of the Elohim, I'd like to say our depiction is what they showed to Raël during his encounter. And they depicted to him Yahweh being a 3-foot man, looking Asian in features, and childlike and loving and kind. And then when he got to their planet, they showed he met some other Elohim that were in statutory smaller, but he also met on the planet of Eternals some humans, Jesus and Buddha, and I believe he had dinner with the 40 different prophets on one of the evenings that had been sent here. Yeah, it'd be fascinating to read the book for you, brother, because on his in 75, when he got to go to their planet, he experienced a wondrous wondrous evening with all their technology. And it's fascinating just to hear about it and to wish and wait for it to be for us too.
Yeah, like I mean, and it's getting there. It's very slowly, but it's getting there. I know it is. People are having awakenings more than ever before, and the time is now. I believe that it's here. We're in the time that we need to be to experience this beautiful thing that's about to happen, and it's wonderful. Now, the Raëlian view. Now, intelligent design versus Darwin. Is it? Yeah, that's a kind of, is it, are we intelligently designed by them and Darwinism is real to a point?
So by the Raëlian philosophy, we were created by the Elohim.
Yeah.
And so I have to say this about Darwinism and evolution.
Okay.
Things are all based, and we talked about this the other day. These things are all based off of dating. So when they discover fossils and they begin to carbon date using the decay rate of carbon-14, I believe it is, they create a timeline of things of how it happened in our history.
Okay.
The first ape becoming caveman-like, or forgive me, I'm not really educated in these terminology.
No, that's okay.
Maybe from an ape to a caveman to a Neanderthal. Okay. And say from that they say that it took maybe, I don't know the exact number. Say it took 100,000 years to go from evolution. In the terminology of evolution. Then they say from the Neanderthal to the Homo sapien, what we are today is so many more hundreds of thousands of years, okay, within that evolutionary thing. And that's all based off of the decay rate of carbon-14. And Raël announced to us in 73 or 75 that decay rate of carbon-14 is not constant. So it is not possible to date things off of that. So I must say, all things based on Raël's point of view are dated incredibly wrong. And the variable that is in the decay rate of carbon-14 is atomic energy or nuclear exposure. So, for example, in the areas of Nevada where nuclear testing was done, if we had taken a sample of some of the stones in that area and test the decay rate of the carbon-14, it would say the half-life of that baby was millions of years old. But the Elohim would explain to us that, in fact, nothing is older here on the planet Earth from after their terraformation process beyond 22,000 years. Okay.
So could it have been that the terraforming process itself and our method of using carbon dating is what's messing it up, because they used something to make the planet that was maybe radioactive to make the planet in the beginning.
Well,
and now
that could be a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean,
now that's why we date it. And we're
nuclear.
like, oh, we're millions of years old, but really we're not. We faked ourselves.
Very possible. Let's just say they use nuclear energy to create the explosions in the massive area, massive
Yeah.
explosions in the earth for the water to rush into. And I'll mention that these are dictated in Mariana's Trench.
Hmm.
You'll find these discoveries of these deep areas that the water was rushed into to expose the higher areas too. But yeah, say they use nuclear energy to do that, then that would make everything that nuclear energy touched much older by the decay rate of carbon-14 than it actually was. But now that's not to say that how old the planet Earth is. Now we're not saying that the Earth did not exist before the Elohim discovered it. The Earth quite certainly existed before the Elohim discovered it. However, when they discovered it, it was a ball of water.
Exactly.
It was covered in water, and the Earth materials beneath the water. And they had to excavate into the ocean for the water to rush into to expose dry land. And those excavations they piled up to create Pangea. So, okay, now back to the evolution of data in people. So the whole idea behind the timeline of evolution is inaccurate. Now, there is a bit of an evolutionary process that happens within all things that are created after they're created. And I'll take, for example, the strawberry, right? So we can take the strawberry. We know what it is today. It is nothing like what it originally was. This tiny little
and everything else.
Yeah, this little snake fruit berry type thing that existed hundreds of years ago. But through natural selection, and which is the same as GMO, except for over hundreds of years, we have a new strawberry now. And that is an evolutionary process within this shorter time frame, not the time frame of millions of years. And so as to say, to elaborate on the process of evolution, when the Elohim created the ape-like entity, they improved upon that, combining their DNA with that to create the first generation of human being. Well, and I'm going to call a Neanderthal in this moment because I don't know the exact terminology that was placed on them by scientists. But then you'll see that all of a sudden that entire civilization disappeared and a new civilization of people disappeared. Not disappeared, but became to be. And that new the new species of human that is a little more like the human, a little less like the ape, is not an evolutionary step, but actually following the artistic ability of a scientist that's manipulating DNA and through chemistry and genetics.
And we also talked about this yesterday with chromosome 2 in the human body. If anybody on here wants to look up chromosome 2, scientists found out that chromosome 2 20,000 years ago was manipulated by something. They don't know by what, but they only know that the chromosome was a full circle chromosome. And then all of a sudden, 20,000 years ago, chromosome 2, all of a sudden, the whole top of chromosome 2 gets cut off. And now we are learning faster. We have intellect. We have everything because of that, just that little slice. But if anybody wants to look it up, they're more than welcome. 20,000 years ago, chromosome 2 was genetically manipulated by something. Now, and they say it couldn't have been manipulated by natural causes. That's another thing they say. So that's another thing out there that definitely forces that fact in there that we had help along the way.
Yeah.
They created one race and they said, man, they just ain't getting it fast enough. Well, let's see what this AI computer system tells us. Oh, all we need to do is make one little cut. Boom. And then we're smarter. And we have intellect. And now we're growing more. That's what they wanted. They didn't want Planet of the Apes. I mean, maybe they did in the beginning, but eventually they said they need to be smarter. They need to, learn this stuff quicker because, like you said, there's 2 other planets out there that were colonized after us. They're our brothers and sisters too. So we should be trying to evolve as fast as we can to reach out to them.
Oh, yeah. I think what you said there, I mean, that's beautiful. So you get to see all these perspectives, right? So I have the Raëlian perspective, and that's a funnel, and you get to see all these large perspectives. But what that is to me, that's a testament to Raël, telling the truth. How would he know 50 years ago what you just discovered today about, chromosome X? Yeah. And we have scientists within the organization that are highly educated on the human genome and things like that are far more educated than myself to speak on things like that. And it might be wonderful for you to have them on here. We have a wonderful scientist here on the East Coast whose name is Bedia Dodo, and she's I believe a genetic scientist who's been working on don't let me say this improperly, removing the allergen from the peanut using genetic devices like the CRISPR.
Yep, the pineal gland, pineal gland.
No, the peanut, actual peanut, you put in peanut butter or so they're removing the allergen from the peanut.
Oh, gotcha.
With genetic manipulation.
So, ooh.
Raëlian, okay, so you may have misunderstood what I was saying there.
A little bit.
I was recommending one of our Raëlian scientists to come on the podcast and talk about
Well, it's like everybody calls it. It might be called different, but it's like I've heard like commercials come on and say, decalcifying your pineal gland, and I was like, oh well, that's like a peanut, like a pineal. That's what I thought maybe you meant.
Oh no. Okay, well, the pineal gland, that's another wonderful topic.
Yeah,
not what I was mentioning in this
moment.
So
that one, what so the scientist is they're finding out how to remove the outer layer of that to expose what to help learn more or no.
So the peanut, I don't know if you're aware that we're getting a little off subject, but
no, that's okay.
A lot of people are allergic to peanuts. It's a very dangerous thing in society right now. If you're allergic to peanuts, you can have some sort of allergic shock, and then you can die from. Yeah. And so, restaurants have to put things on their menus to say if they use peanuts or have peanuts in their product.
Yeah.
So it's an important thing for humanity right now to help with that. And one of the Raëlian scientists are using genetic manipulation to remove the allergen from the genetic code of the peanut.
I got it now.
With a device that, if I understand to be correctly, named CRISPR.
Yes, you are exactly correct, and now I know exactly what you're talking about. That would be
right. And she's a wonderful scientist. Could tell you all the sciencey things of the that type of education.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna have to pick your brain after this and maybe get you and the scientist on.
Hey, there we go.
So with when it comes to now. Are there parallels between Raëlian cosmology and ancient astronaut theories like we were talking about? Is that exactly, are the Raëlian cosmology and ancient astronaut theories, are they the same thing pretty much?
Well, let me say this. It was through the ancient aliens theory that I discovered, and I researched then once I saw Ancient Aliens. I researched, when I found all of this, I watched Ancient Aliens. I said to myself, I think this is what I believe. I think the extraterrestrials that they're seeing here on Ancient Aliens were mistaken as gods. And I believe it's those extraterrestrials that were the foundation of these religions. So I Google searched religions based on the ancient astronaut theory.
Okay.
All right. And then that's where I discovered Raël.org. And I got to download a YouTube video. Okay. And I recommend this for all your listeners. If you can jot this one down, YouTube, the video Message from the Designers. And that 8-minute video is what had me in tears and joy to discover the pieces of information. And once I watched that 8-minute video, I went to his website and I downloaded the book. It's free. I downloaded it right on my laptop and I turned on some classical music. And over the next 3 days, I read his book in the evenings after work, which for me at that time was really a special thing, because a 26-year-old American dude at that time wasn't reading many books. And in fact, the only book outside of high school or that I had read was the biography of Dale Earnhardt Jr. And you can see these race cars behind me, and so I love racing, and that's me, and that's my passion. But when I read his book, it drew out of me a calling. It says in there that at some point in time there was like 500 people wanting to join the Catholic, like to become a priest, a monastery or whatever it is that would you go and join. There was like 500 people every time to join that, and now there's almost nobody wanting to join that anymore. And well, when I read this book, it's like I was one of those people that had that calling come out into them. I knew I had to help. I needed to be a part of this. This was my thing, and it came out of me like a lion roaring.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about this the other day in my little world, in my bubble, that created a social destruction because of what I'd like to say, and what I had to say at that point was completely against the going thing of God and things to that nature.
Yeah.
Deity, singular God. I got all the things going across the screen there. I'm trying to read.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of people that are like talking in the background, and I'm just texting them and stuff.
Great. How many viewers do we have on? It doesn't show me.
4 right now watching. We had 5 before, and they're talking about chromosome 2 right now, and like we were talking about, and genetic manipulation in there.
Okay, great, awesome. I'm glad to see people in here.
Yeah. So, what is your perspective on the other extraterrestrial contact experiences, like those reported by contactees and abductees? Is this possibly maybe the other 2 species or so from the other planets that were colonized after this coming to visit, or is it something else?
I think that's an open-ended, loaded question, Jay. Because there's so many, like I could speculate in 1,000 different ways.
Yeah.
I do my internet investigations in the same way that you do, brother.
Yep.
And I have researched the Raëlian philosophy, and so I've been a Raëlian since 2010. All right, and so I discovered this information. It began that awakening inside of me of wanting to know more. All right. So once I went through the Raëlian information and I felt satisfied with that, I continued to search deeper into the depths of the internet to try to find the details of things, because within Raël's book, Intelligent Design, it does tell you fascinating things about our history in our past. But, it's simply written. It's not highly detailed. All right. And there's a purpose behind that. But so me being the type of person that I am, I like to have details. I look for those things. And so as such, I've been to the depths and the corners and the cracks of the internet that you probably have been to as well. Yeah. And I hold personal opinions on what all of that stuff is that's happening. But per se, by the messages and by the Raëlian philosophy and the Raëlian movement, I don't have an explanation beyond that.
Okay. No, that makes sense. That makes sense because there is a lot going on right now in the world, like
A lot happening.
all at once, and that's
And
it.
what it is and where it could be, from one range of it's actually our own government to, like you said, our brothers and sisters in space.
Yeah.
So we could speculate. And so I'd like to say this also. In my beginnings of my research and my wanting to be like know about things like this, I went into looking all the I got into all the UFO groups, right?
Yep.
I wanted to know about every UFO that's witnessed and everything that happens. And that's giving myself validation or verification that I'm doing the right thing. I'm following the right person. I'm committing social suicide for a good reason. All right. So in the beginning, I needed those things.
Okay.
After some time, you lose some of that ego. Those things don't become so much important anymore to me. So I stopped researching things. You know what I mean? Like you know all the different UFO contacts and all the different things, and all my friends send me stuff of all the coolest looking UFOs cruising around out there, and I don't care. I really don't. Like, it's at this point, it's like I know that I don't need to see every vehicle that goes by the highway to know that the vehicles exist out there.
Yeah.
So
it's like today. It's like we had the dark ages, so I say this is the awakening age.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the most important time in humanity's history, in my opinion. This is the ride that everybody's been wanting to take. This is the moment where the singularity happens. You were born at this moment, and I was born in this moment. It's like it's the most special thing that could possibly happen. What if we were born 200 years ago?
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's incredibly boring in comparison to being alive right now.
Yeah.
And it is vicious to see the terrible things that one another do to each other. But people were doing viciously horrible things in Genghis Khan's time era as well. And imagine the Elohim looking at that, witnessing that from for thousands of years, and the compassion that they have for us, hoping that we will have this awakening and begin to see each other as brothers and sisters instead of differences in skin tones.
Yeah.
And really, we have further than that to go to see the unity of all of us. Really, in fact, if we consider the level of infinity, we are all one. And you are me, and I am you, and I'm Raël, and he's me, and we're all everyone is one. And so if you hold a compassionate feeling for one another in that same way, you can just have like a wonderfully peaceful civilization and interactions with one another. Because that's the thing here, is not having empathy. Because like if I come across a person, like say for example my parents, who don't recognize this information at all, they might have even wanted to become violent at one moment to change my opinion, on the way that I think. And so I'm able to transcend those feelings and allow the ego to dissipate, right? And have compassion for my father and love him in the same way that I love myself.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. So now let's get into a touchy subject, which we talked about yesterday, but what are the Raëlian views on cloning and immortality?
Well, the Yahweh expressed to Raël for humanity to do everything in our power to begin cloning or research into cloning. And if I've got the book here, I will recommend. It's reversed, but this book here is called "Yes to Human Cloning."
Well, it's okay on our screen. It's
it look good there. Okay, so "Yes to Human Cloning." This is another one of the books that Raël wrote, and it's free online. You can buy the paperback version on Amazon. It's probably $20 or something like that. And
Okay.
don't attack me over the paper. Like people like to, we say it's all free, right? And then you go charge for a paperback version. Like, oh, it's not free. Well, Amazon charges for the book.
Yeah.
So anyways, he has a whole another book that he's written on this subject. So it is deep and it's in depth. And I recommend for all of your viewers to take a look at that book and see it online and see the information for yourself. But we absolutely support cloning and the pursuit of genetic research in that way, because Yahweh explained to Raël that is the biblical tree of life, and that is our way of freeing ourselves from sickness and effectively being able to live forever.
Now, is that going to lead us to now, is it the Raëlian's view then for artificial intelligence and synthetic intelligence, to go that route, for transfer, or is it
no?
To
my understanding, the Elohim have the ability to transfer the consciousness from one body to the next.
Oh wow!
So if you were to be cloned, your consciousness would be transferred from you here to your clone, a younger version of yourself.
All right.
And it would be you living again. Now, if we used their same exact equipment to create a clone, a version of you, a second J standing next to the original J, the second J would begin to become different from the original J, because the second J knows that he is just a copy of the original. All right.
Okay. That would be weird. And I think we got into it before when yesterday when he was on a planet and they cloned himself in front of him and he was actually looking at himself. And I was like, that would be just, my brain would explode.
That would be an experience. And just imagine the neuronal connections happening inside of his brain at that moment.
Oh.
So he's experienced something that we haven't in that way. Oh.
So when it comes to how do they approach gender identity and equality then? Is it just everybody's equal down the line?
Yeah. Man and woman in their society are completely equal. Okay. And in fact, I'd like to make a note on the level of femininity on their planet is incredibly high, and especially in comparison to our own planet. Raël said that when he visited their planet, that the men were as feminine as the most feminine woman on this planet. Yeah, and that the most feminine woman on this planet was a dinosaur in comparison to a woman on their planet.
Oh, wow.
Now, that's interesting. Yeah,
that's really interesting.
So part of the teachings that the Elohim taught to Raël were on femininity and basically about toxic masculinity and how it's the testosterone driven male that has pushed society into this warmongering, type of civilization that we are. It's it's males that are at the top of all things, government, and not enough female quality. And so, as such, within the organization, we embrace the feminine quality. Okay. And fortunately for myself, growing up, I had a higher level of femininity into myself just naturally. And I mentioned to you before that even in high school, I was misconceived as gay just because I was, very feminine. And however, I'm not gay. I would love to be, or to be bi or not, but I am what I am, and that's okay. And what whoever is what they are is okay. Yeah. But the feminine quality is what I'm getting at, is what is wonderful. And we actually have workshops at our happiness academies to develop femininity.
That's what I was just about to ask you next, was how does the Raëlian movement define happiness?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. That's the best question that we got here, brother. Okay. So all of the Raëlian movement, all of the Raëlian philosophy, knowing our history and our past, that is great. That's wonderful. It's satisfying in the moment. But how to live life happy now in this moment. That's like in every moment from there on out. That is where the Raëlian philosophy really is strong. That's where it comes in. Okay, so
Okay.
and when Raël went to their planet on the second time, he got to learn directly from the prophets. He got to have meditation sessions. He got education directly from the Elohim. And that education is what he taught to his guides, and his guides now teach that at the Happiness Academies.
Nice.
And so the philosophy of let me say, what all do we teach at the academies? We teach so much. I'd have to really start I could just go with my experience, because every one of them are a little different. And every one that I went to, I learned little something different than the one before that. And if I had missed any of them, I'd be lacking, a little piece of myself that I have today. And
Well, you grew in each one
yeah,
different.
exactly. It grew in each one. And so they're not all the same, but there's an idea behind, each one. But each one has a different set of guides that are teaching, and they each teach from their color. And some, so each experience is different. But I would like to talk about the Happiness Academies, because those are important. And I'm talking about my experience with them. All right. So my first experience was coming out of, American culture, 26 years old, just as pooty boy as it gets, knowing nothing about nothing. Other than I had seen the ancient aliens, and I had the genetic opening inside of myself to absolutely have the need to learn this information. So I get there, and I see a scientist, Bridget Boislier, give a speech about epigenetics, and I'm such a rookie in any terminology of anything. I have no idea what the terminology epigenetics even means. I have to listen to half of the speech to even understand what the term meant. But so, for example, when my very first one, I learned about epigenetics and chemical exposure, and the chemical exposure that is driving the cancer epidemic behind our society today. All right, so that's place number one. I learned about avoiding, cancer. This is a Happiness Academy. So this is, so there's a lot of things you learn there. And I talked about the next thing that I learned there. Remember again, standard American boy. Not I ate Taco Bell for lunch.
Yeah.
I hit Burger King for dinner for the flame broil.
Yeah.
And if I was feeling healthy that day, I went to Subway and I ate fresh with Jared.
With extra salad, right?
Yeah, got me a Sprite instead of a soda. So when I go in, I'm at my first Happiness Academy. Raël wasn't there, but his doctor, Mark Rivard, was there. He gives a speech and a sermon on nutrition. He talks about what's healthy and what's not, and processed foods and sugars, and gives a recommendation. Nobody has to follow any diet whatsoever. You can be whatever you want in the Raëlian movement. Let me say this, and I'll say that to the ends of the earth. You can be whatever you want. There are no rules in that sense.
It's about your own happiness.
Whatever is happy for you is what is for you. Okay. But he gave a recommendation of his information at that time, which was red meat once a week, white meat 5 days a week, fast 1 day a week. And on the 6 days a week that you do eat, have 3 different colored fruits and 3 different colored vegetables, and you'll hit the nutritional varieties that the body needs. And then of those, you choose whatever makes you happy and the taste that you like. And at that time, that basic piece of information might seem so rudimentary and basic, but to a young man like myself coming out of American high school education, those things were not sit home deep enough leaving that building. And they hit home to me when I walked into the academy. Why? I don't know. Because probably in health class, they told us that hot dogs weren't good and processed food was going to, have harmful effects. But for whatever reason, during our health class, I probably was staring at the behind of the girl in front of me than paying attention to the teacher.
Yeah.
So when I go to the Happiness Academy, my brain is open and like a sponge to absorb. And it did hit home for me. And when I left out of there, I stopped eating junk because I didn't want to. I really hit home to me that I didn't want to develop cancer, and that it was myself, my own choices that would bring about the development in cancer inside of myself from the epigenetic exposures that I had. And this is information that I learned at my very first Happiness Academy.
Wow.
And so, I learned more things there. Learned about breaking down my ego. We went, at that time, the national guide was Lara, and she was a wonderful performer, is a wonderful performer. And she created a little walkway type performance for us to go down like a trail. And through this trail was like a trail of humility and humbleness. And I didn't know those words as a 26-year-old young man. I heard those words. They don't hit home with me. Actually, at 26, all I care about is hot rods, motorcycles,
and chicks,
smoking cigarettes, and girls.
Yep.
And so I am the least humble person that I know in that moment, and I have an ego that's inflated, and I have I am the individual who I was in that moment. And then when I get to go into the Happiness Academy and see these performances and productions boosting humility and humbleness and showing you about, bowing and putting your forehead to the floor and allowing the humility to flow out of yourself.
Okay.
Spirituality, maybe some of the culture that maybe Asian communities have built into their culture, but the American culture didn't have it all. Yeah. And then so as such, they bring you into another big room and we all meditate together 7 times a day.
Wow.
What an incredible experience. I had never meditated in my life, and let alone had I stopped my brain from thinking. And so as such, when I go into my first Happiness Academy, I'm meditating over and over and over and having moments of thoughtlessness.
Okay.
And that's the goal, is to try not to think, try to gain control of this out of control mind, this out of control beast. And so I began my journey on controlling my mind. And these are all things on my first academy. I've been to dozens after that.
So no wonder you jumped into it. Your mind was blown.
Yeah. So to give my testament on Raëlian Happiness Academies, wow, man, don't miss a single one. That's my testament. Every person on the planet that could possibly make it to one, go. That's my testament. Because if you're like I was, uncultured, then you'll go into an environment with every culture that exists. You'll see white people, black people, yellow people, every color and everything in between. Okay? Everything in between. And you'll just have tears of happiness flowing down your cheek just from seeing the people when you go into a room like that. Because when I was prior to going into a church, I only saw white people when I walked into that building. And, that's nowhere near as satisfying when you see a diverse group of individuals in front of you coming from all cultures of walk. That'll hit you deep. It'll hit you real deep, man. And you'll want to be with these people. because they're open, like they're non-judgmental in that way. They're there to practice the reduction of that. And so as such, within these environments, it's the most loving environment I had ever been in. And so I've never experienced love in that way before.
So do Raëlians then believe in total nonviolence as a universal principle then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's beautiful.
And so I'm experiencing a level of love that I never even knew was possible, in the non-judgment. And so just having this feeling around these people, I just wanted to be around the people so that I didn't have the judgment around others that I'm always regularly around in my life. And so that was like a real carrot for me to come back, to be in the presence of just the most wonderful beings I'd ever met. And they were there to learn themselves. And now I'm not the same person I am when I'm there. And when I go home, I'm more me than I am Raëlian philosophy. But when I am there, I try to be the best me that I can be, right? And then try to take that home with me and allow that to extenuate for as long as I can. And quite certainly the people that I'm there with aren't always as wonderfully loving as they are in there when they are there. But when we come together, put our minds in this mindset and reinvigorate one another, our vibrational frequencies elevate to a level that re-energize ourselves to reintegrate into the public. And what's incredibly important, I'm sorry to interrupt you, what's incredibly important as a Raëlian about that, I think we are a beacon of light within humanity. I go to the Happiness Academy. I feel the vibrational frequency elevate through all of these techniques that we're doing there, and as well as relishing in the other people, and then Maitreya himself. I'm buzzing. I mean, just like you're, out of this world. But when you come out of a place like that, and then it's part of our mission to watch that, feel it, kind of deaden as you share that with everyone around you at every moment, at the airport when you're leaving there, at the rental center when you're returning your car, the hug that you give to your girlfriend, to your family when you go back to because you got to reintegrate with the family if you've chosen to. Like I still have all connection with my biological family. I love them in the same way that I love all people. Yep. And so as such, I still have connection with them.
I was going to say we just talked about that yesterday also about if you get, and it was scientifically proven, 20,000 people were meditating. I think it was either 20,000 or 10,000. Don't quote me on that, anybody, but they were meditating in Chicago. And then all of a sudden, the crime rate drops the next month by 30% because they meditated every day for like a month. And just once, they only meditated once a day. They all did for once a day, same time. They didn't even have to be in the same place, but they all were in Chicago area. The crime rate goes down 25% just because of them meditating peace.
That's wonderful. And I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you. Because that's the subject that I wanted to bring up. To conclude the last topic, because I do get on tangents.
When
I go to the Happiness Academies, I come out of there buzzing. And then I share that with everyone and everything. All right. And I personally am of the belief that the vibrational frequency of all things after me have been a piece of that elevated into them. And I can slip down, vibrationally, and even into a depression, right? Yeah. You can give too much of your energy, especially after like I give a presentation or a public speech or something like that. So what I do have though are the techniques that the Elohim taught to Raël for meditation in harmonization to bring myself right back into alignment. So I could allow myself to continue to reverberate down and even almost reconnect with my family members in frequency. But I don't. I use the techniques taught by Raël to meditate, harmonize, and re-energize myself in such a way so that I maintain a level of harmony that even like when I go back to the seminars, you reach a new peak every time you go.
Yeah.
But my resonance of where it comes back to is a little higher each time, though.
Okay.
And so as such, happiness academies are great. They increase our frequency, and even to the people that don't go to them. And until before it on to your next question, repeat that one again for me because I've talked myself past it.
Nope, you're fine. I was gonna say, what is the to wind down a little bit? What's the biggest misconceptions about the Raëlian movement?
Biggest misconceptions. I don't know what are in the thoughts and the hearts of, what I mean? People. I know the tax that my family has put on me, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really know what others receive. And I don't really know what Raël himself personally receives. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I know the attacks that people have brought onto me. Yeah. And those attacks are generally based off of something they read on the internet that was a fabrication, and a fabrication aimed at discrediting, Raël and his story and his mission.
Yes.
And so any number of those things are.
I think we went over this yesterday. I think we went over this yesterday too. That everyone that's watching, don't believe everything you hear at face value, wherever you hear it from. Do your own diligence and your own research into the topic to make sure that you're getting the right information before you believe anything. Don't even believe me. Go do your own research. Don't believe, Jerry here. Let's do our own research.
That's right. You are your best.
Yes. You are your best source of information if you put yourself out to get the information.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'll touch a little bit on that, Jay. The Netflix documentary, that's a huge thing, right? Okay, so that's something to talk about. I'll talk about how wonderful it is and was for our organization, how much publicity that we get. For it, the amount of views that we get for it. Okay. Yeah. And the quite certainly Raël knew that obviously beforehand that they were going to try to discredit him in some way. But, using the 48 laws of power, sometimes all news is good news. Let's say not sometimes. Actually, in fact, that is a law. And all news is good news. And as far as publicity goes and as far as increasing your view, and public viewpoint,
you can always turn hearts and minds.
Mm-hmm. Now, the information that was negatively portrayed on the Raëlian movement is the same information that's been puked and lapped up and reverberated over and over and over without any real credibility, and without any actual justification, and without any actual criminal and allegations. Any all speculation and all BS aimed at
no criminal proceedings, no nothing. It's all fabrications.
Yes, all things aimed at trying to destroy the reputation of a person that's attempting to wake humanity.
Doing something beautiful. Like if you do something beautiful, you shouldn't be just stomped on like this. Like, I mean, there's some people out there that are like, oh man, this guy's messing up my Kool-Aid. All right, he's next. And there's always a next person. It was his movement, and then it was another movement, and then it was this movement. But but they targeted this movement because they're telling the truth. That's the thing.
Exactly.
They don't want,
The truth is so unpopular in any
yes,
time era, isn't it?
yeah,
So
they don't want the
talk about
truth out there.
and talk about another person that spoke about truth in his time era that was murdered for it, hung from a cross,
Yep.
and killed for speaking truth. So at least we're in a time era where it's not in that way. He just has to suffer a social discreditation instead of an actual violent act.
Yeah.
And so as such, we're thankful to be alive in this time era and not that time era.
Yeah, right. So has the movement ever been involved in any investigations or collaborations looking into the Elohim? Okay, Rael's message comes out. You guys have your own science teams and all these other teams and everything. Do they actually, okay, Rael says, hey, this is what the planet was I was on. And then now your science team is like, we're going to try to find it.
As far as find the planet, I don't think so.
Okay. Or anything else he says. Like, hey,
I'd like to elaborate on what you say there is like our group looking for verification in what he's saying. We find verification in there's dozens of things that he mentioned in the 70s that weren't known about in that time that have come true today.
Okay.
As far as things like I mentioned to you yesterday or in today, the way we date things is completely inaccurate, right?
Yes.
That he mentioned that in 73. Another thing that he mentioned was the speed of light is not constant either. And this was a very unpopular opinion in 73, especially considering the theory of relativity and things like that.
Yeah.
And so we know today that light is not constant throughout the universe. And now we have another notch on my man's belt here, that how could he possibly have known that? And forgive me, I don't know exactly how many things he said that have eventually come to be true, but it's been a lot. And when I say a lot, it's been enough to convince at least the members within the organization, like, wow, this is just too coincidental, right? There's too many coincidences for him to know this amount of stuff and for it to not be true. Now that's
and he knows this stuff because it's being told to him, and of course he's going to spread the message of peace and love and understanding.
But from my perspective, though, personally, Jay, I don't look for I'm not really looking for the verification anymore. Like I said in the beginning, I was looking for all the UFOs and trying to figure this and that.
They just take you down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, well, you can go down a ton of rabbit holes, but I truly believe that this information, is true in my intuition, right? So that's what's leading me is myself. And I mentioned this to you the other day. I'm not led by a man or an individual. I'm led by myself. I make my own choices, and Rael doesn't make my choices for me. And what he does is teach us to make our own choices. Yeah. And that if anything that he says doesn't resonate with you, you don't, there's no harm, no foul. Yeah. I forgot where I was leading.
No, you're good. It's just pretty much it's like treat others how you want to be treated, because you want to be treated the right way. That's the way you should treat everyone.
Yeah, of course.
And now, does the Elohim message give insight into other intelligent species in our universe?
Insight into other intelligent, it doesn't give specifics and it doesn't give details.
It just says, that they tried on these planets and failed, but they went here and then they did 2 more.
Well, it says within the messages that they themselves created us, okay, and they were created by someone. But also that they are not the only species that exists in this region of the universe, and that they are in contact with, and I'm going to quote, thousands of other species of humanoid type. And it elaborates in the message that they are the most scientifically advanced of all of the species that they have met, or all of the civilizations that they have met. So to my understanding, okay, if we reference some of the information that maybe we have searched in the depths of the internet about the galactic universe, to the information that I understand, the Elohim are the most advanced civilization in this galactic region.
Okay.
So if we're going to try to place some details and some specifics of who they are and where they are and what they are, about all we know is that they are the most advanced.
So it'd be like us. We thought at one time we were the only ones in the universe, and we would have done the same thing that they did. We would have grown up. We would have sent our probes out to check for other life. Yeah. And that's what they did. And they found it. And that's, wow. Just, I'm glad they did. I'm glad they checked, because who knows what would have happened if they didn't. You know, it could have been chaos in the universe. You know, it could have been war. It could have been, you know, these species. They've probably done so much behind the scenes that we don't even know about. We'll never know about that. That is just incredibly important for our well-being in our upbringing, like us being here. Like, all right, so what advice would you give someone preparing for contact?
Well, my best advice is build the embassy in your heart.
Okay.
All right. So that's what our ultimate goal is, right? To become peaceful and to welcome what we call our fathers from space. And then if we do that, we become peaceful and we build the embassy and we welcome them, then we'll get to receive their inheritance, which is their 22,000 years in advance of technology of us. And so that's the ultimate goal. Now, how do we conduct peace? Do we call every person and pick up the phone, every single person, and then make that, you know what I mean? We talk to 8 billion people individually.
Yeah.
You know? So what do? We ask you to don't try to change anybody. Don't try to go out and do this or that, or, you know, change yourself.
Yeah.
So if you on your inside, you know, begin to change your own heart and become peaceful in your own heart and break down your own ego, open your mind to new things, and allow that, you know, expression to blossom and to form into the new humanity that will be egoless.
Yeah.
And won't fight one another for our minerals and resources.
Beautiful. Beautiful. If you had 5 minutes with the United Nations, what would you say? 5 minutes.
I would adamantly go in the pursuit of nuclear destruction of all nuclear weaponry. Okay. If I could convince every nation in the world to eliminate their nuclear weapons, then we have effectively eliminated the possibility for humanity to self-destruct.
Okay.
So no matter what, however much time it takes for us, like I said, 50 years we've had the Maitreya here with us. Yeah. Some people were ready in 73. Some people are not ready in 2025.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's what I have to say there, brother.
Okay. No, that's beautiful. I would say the same thing. Just, hey, oh, well, we can't get rid of that much. Yes, you can. There's a way to get rid of them. Like, all right. So what does Raëlianism say about death and what happens afterwards?
Well, after the Raëlian philosophy, after death, there is nothing. Okay. So unless science intervenes.
Okay.
All right. So say, for example, I pass away right here, right now. To the Raëlian philosophy, nothing happens. And the energy that animated this body disperses randomly into the universe around me right here.
Okay.
But in this reality, in this realm, in this moment right now, a scientist with the capability to pluck one of my cells that has all of the genetic information,
DNA and information. Yep.
of what I am, the program
Mhm.
that began this body. Okay, we can recreate this image here right again, right now, right? They could, and in front of
Yeah.
us. And then what they could say is they can transfer our consciousness from this body to the next and
Okay.
live again effectively. But if they don't intervene scientifically to transfer the consciousness, then it does not transfer.
It's just your energy dissipates to the remaining universe.
That's to my understanding.
Okay.
And
All right.
infinity exists, and I quite certainly exist an infinite amount of times. But in relation to mass, size, in what we call time, for the elements to combine themselves together in the mathematic number for civilization to have started in this of the universe, to have advanced to an Elohim, to have creating life, to eventually to have had, my parents having sex to make me, that infinite in the infinitum, so I understand, will happen again an infinite amount of times. But in the duration of what we experience, time will not happen again for this consciousness.
Yeah, I got you.
All right.
Okay.
Unless the Elohim intervene and recreate me and transfer my consciousness to the clone.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm. Hey, that's what I'm voting on.
I had a conversation with my wife last night, and I was talking about, if it was a choice, if I made the conscious choice to learn and grow and come down here and get reincarnated on this planet, and the Elohim stuck me here and everything, man, they stuck me on the wrong planet. I want a redo because I'm on the wrong planet. You guys put me on the wrong planet because I need to be on the peaceful one, not on this one right now.
Yeah, well, I can see that idea comes from the methodology behind the Galactic Federation, in that idea, and the Elohim, they talk about reincarnation not for the individual but for humanity, really more for like humanity as a whole, how I described it a moment ago. So it may be in the infinite universe that the experience of time and this duration between the infinity happening itself over and over again. Maybe that experience happens instantaneously, and it is like you describe. But I don't know. We don't know. I only have the experience from the Yahweh to Raël to go off of.
Yes.
And then, of course, that does resonate most with me. However, I'm not blind, and I have read more beyond that. And I'm aware of what the galactic, members that follow the Galactic Federation, believe in that sense. And I don't share any negative opinion.
Okay. What do you hope? Last question, and then I'll show you 3 pictures, and then we'll call it here.
Cool.
What do you hope listeners will take away from our conversation here?
Man, the most important thing is our world peace campaign. If you can't get behind anything, that Raël, he talks about, you can get behind our 1 Minute for Peace campaign. And anybody and everybody can resonate in whatever manifestation that you have in your mind. World peace is at the root source of that. Okay, so let's all come together and become peaceful. And I wish for everybody that's listening here to join us. It's tomorrow night, and we do it every Monday night. If you're on the East Coast, it's 8:55 p.m. Eastern time. And we have a Zoom room, and we all get together and meditate for world peace in 3 languages. in English, French, and in Spanish. And we do that every Monday. And it's www.1minute4peace.org. And I don't know if I have
the whole word or just MIN.
It's the letter, or excuse me, the number 1.
Oh, there it is. Yep, I see it.
MIN, the letter or the number 4, PEACE.org.
1M
IN
4 piece. Okay, I got it.
Thank you.
Definitely. I'm gonna
join in on us with that. And if you perfect tomorrow night, 8:55 Eastern time, and every Monday night, or every Monday we do that. And depending on the level of world violence that's going on, we increase that depending on what's happening worldwide. And it has come at a certain point that we did it every hour of every day.
Oh, wow.
So you can understand energy and the energy on the planet, and how close that we can come to annihilation through ego and masculinity. And in those moments, Raël can sense that, and he increases our world peace meditations to counteract the world violence.
That makes sense.
It's a beautiful thing, man. That is a beautiful thing. If you got any knives to throw at my man, catch that one. Okay?
Yeah, try your hardest to throw back at peace. Like,
yeah.
Anybody? Crickets? No. Yeah.
And there's a wonderful study that was done in the 80s that I just became recently aware of, and it was called the 100th monkey. It's when they taught one monkey on the one side of the island to wash its food before it ate, and it taught its neighboring monkeys around it to wash its food before it ate. And actually, when they got from 99 to 100th monkey washing its food before it ate, monkeys on the other side of the island began to wash their food before they ate.
Yep.
Which is an astounding study showing that the effect that our brains have when we combine together in a collective. So let's get together Monday night and meditate for peace.
That sounds wonderful to me, sir. So here's the 3 pictures I wanted to share with you. This is something I drew.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful, brother.
Thank you. This one you'll that's a lot.
I'll have to screenshot that one, brother.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah. This is some beautiful information. A little bit beyond my education level, but I can see things that I have seen in other posts and things like that seemed very interesting.
And how we were talking about yesterday, how I believed I had a picture of an Elohim portal.
Okay.
Well, let me get to my screen here.
Okay, I see it there. My, that's beautiful.
And somebody's going bye-bye.
Poetic.
Like, I'm not even like we shot it off a cell phone October 30th, 2024, 1:15 in the morning, right outside of my parents' house.
That's incredible.
Yeah, overlooking the ocean. We took that, it was milliseconds apart. I had 3 photos. I have one, it's opening. I had the second one with the person coming up to it. And I had the third one with her actually in the portal.
Wow. What an amazing thing to witness. And obviously that's for you, man. You know what I'm saying? Like that was an experience going on, like for something to go on inside of your brain and your mind. I'll tell you, like I did the other day, I've never seen anything. I've never seen a UFO. I've never seen a portal. I've never seen an extraterrestrial. Personally, like my own verification, I have no personal validation that any of this stuff is true. my sisters, every person that I know, as a matter of fact, has seen a UFO. And they all come to me, oh, Jerry, I saw a UFO. I was, I'm driving down the road. It comes over top of me. It hovered there, da, 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 da. I felt these feelings of, joy. And then, others have taken, family members or friends have taken drugs. Okay. Like psychedelic drugs. And when they were in their psychedelic state, who they talked to told them that they need to you need to be with Jerry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, these are friends of mine, doing psychedelic drugs, and the entities in the psychedelics told them to follow your friend, man. You know what I mean? So that's some interesting things, but that wasn't for me. You know what I mean? That was for them. So well, I don't have
if they were trying to give them a message, I'm thinking the message would have been, dude, you realize you can do this without the drugs. You can do this with meditation and stuff with Jerry. Go Beautiful. With him. You're messing yourself up.
That's a good way of looking at it. That was wonderful. Yes.
That's the way I would see it.
They say that in the messages that it's through meditation. They tell it not to take drugs and things of that nature to achieve levels of heightenedness, because you can do it the proper way, which is through meditation, non-thinking, gaining control of the mind. And also there's a combination of feeding the body. Your body is your temple. So you gotta ingest, you ingest your diet as well. You ingest your diet through your eyes, you ingest your diet through your mouth and your eating. And all of those things develop the individual. And so I'll lead back to where I was saying a moment ago is I don't have any verification of anything. I am a Raëlian because in my intuition is why I'm, in a Raëlian, because of the way that I feel, in the way that it resonates with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, however you want to end it, sir, because we're at the end of the podcast now. I mean, any other questions or anything for the guest before we cut it out here, or is that it?
Does
anybody give you a couple minutes here, people, to put your questions up, and if not, then we will go ahead and call it. And then I will I'll get a hold of you after this, Jerry. I'll not a hold of you, but I'll send you those 3 pictures, including the portal one, to you. That way you have that, because maybe if you want to show the science department or something that, hey, look, we actually have it. Here's a portal. I did. I'm working for MUFON as a section state director, so I investigated that case myself. I took it to third parties. I had an AI machine look at it to see if it wasn't manipulated, and it was like 0 manipulation. I'm like, there's the proof.
Nice. That's wonderful, man. I think, the vibrational frequency of the planet and everybody, resonating closer to where the Elohim are and things like that. Our realities are going to begin to blend. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
I do want to say one last thing before we go. We didn't get to touch much on the swastika. It's a super important thing within our.
1 second. We got a question.
Oh, okay.
What do you feel about when people try to force angels and demons belief for the space people? Like, all right, let me put it this way then. When they try to push the fact that they're not extraterrestrials, it's all angels and demons, stuff to hurt us and stuff to help us. That's it.
Mm-hmm. So how do I feel, or what do I do, or what do I say?
What do you feel about what do you feel when people try to force angels and demons belief system on the spacefaring intelligent races?
Mm-hmm. I personally feel compassion in that moment. Okay. I feel compassion for someone that hasn't yet understood what I have understood.
Yes.
And so as such, we're at a difference in, I'm going to say, in vibrational density, and we're not going to be capable, more than likely, of being able to communicate back and forth with any kind of mutual agreement. That's
Okay.
my personal opinion. Okay. And so as such, I'm I'm really just going to try to like hold a sense of compassion and love, and not, not project negativity.
That's beautiful. Do Raelians believe in souls?
Ah, good question, Rabbi Alien. No, we do not. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
The soul is just an energy source, right? It's an energy. It's a. It's
Well, so
what is?
to
What do you
elaborate a
believe in
little
the
bit, so
soul?
the Elohim explained the soul like our genetic code. So the DNA in the genetic code is the effective, what we consider as what you would call the soul, because your genetic code is you. So if I replicate that genetic code, then I can replicate your soul. So what I want to say is we have a difference in vocabulary in this moment, and that what we apply the term soul to, I don't think anyone on this planet exactly knows yet what the consciousness is, right? Or if we want to differentiate or separate what is what and who is who. If our genetic code is our our soul, then what is our consciousness, and how do we differentiate, and how we where's the math behind the consciousness? We don't have that yet. All right, so they haven't explained that to us. So at this moment, I have to just go with what has been said and where my feelings go.
Okay. And that was, I think you just said the ending of that right
Yeah.
when she was coming up with it too. Lady Daniel's my biggest supporter actually here on the channel.
Beautiful picture.
And yeah, she's Raëlian as well too, and
Okay.
she actually got me hooked up with Sullivan Raishan and the embassy and everything and the movement, and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
it's just been it hasn't been a roller coaster. It's been a spaceship ride, like just kaboom. And we just exploded. And I'm like, and it was all about, because I'm not out there. I'm not out there asking you like, hey, what happened this, I'm not debating you on things. I'm letting you speak your truth.
That's beautiful, brother.
And that's the way, I run my podcast. I don't want, edgy questions or questions that make my guests uncomfortable, because that's not me. That's not who I am,
Well, thank you for, like trying to be from a place of truth and not necessarily from a place of clickbait. Because
exactly.
you become quite a bit more popular by trying to clickbait.
Exactly.
I'm aware of that, but I sense you, brother. I feel myself within you. You know what I mean? I feel like I've known you forever, and we're literally 2 days knowing one another. You know what I mean?
Like,
so
I sat there and I told
you, and I thank you for being, who you are. And like I said, you personally are a light on this planet, and what you do is bringing about a level of consciousness that's going to change the world. So, thank you so much for being on here. Thank you, Lady Danielle, for connecting, Jay with us, because this is a wonderful opportunity to be able to, I guess, demystify the messages themselves, because there's a lot of misconception and a misinterpretation even of Rael's mission here on Earth, because of the attacks from let's just say organized religion that this message does destroy. And I also have compassion in the sense for the people that attempt to destroy Rael and discredit him and myself, because I am a victim of these things, saying the same thing socially in my own my own little bubble. People try to bring up the stuff from the internet to discredit me and make me look bad. And in all truth, and I have sincere compassion for these people. And that was really, I went through a whole year last year that my ideology, the way I was living was compassion. I wanted more compassion in my life, more compassion in the organization, and more compassion in the region that the Raëlians that I work with.
Yeah.
You know, and it's an attribute that everyone can have more of, and that's where I'm riding right now. You know, is just trying to, you know, share as much love as possible and be as compassionate as possible and allow people to grow on their own timeline, their own journey. Because like I said, you can tell someone a piece of information, but whether or not they understand it, it might take 10 years for them to understand the same thing. If you had gave me Rael's messages at 16, I would have been incapable of understanding it in that moment. And I would have put that book down and I'd have sent it, you know, I would have sent it to the side, just like any other book that was kind of interesting at that time of my life. But I wasn't emotionally ready for that, you know, in my timeline.
Yeah, that's true.
So I can't have regret for the former me and the former and guilt for the things that I used to do, or the you know, the ways that I used to think.
Yeah, and it's like everybody grows at a different rate, mentally, physically. They grow differently, and their upbringings, their backgrounds, has a lot to do with how fast they grow, how fast they learn, and learn what they need to. And it's like I said on this podcast, you know, like you said, I'm not here for clickbait. I can say that right out with everybody out here, everybody watching.
Truth, brother.
My podcast is not for clickbait. I let people tell their voices the way they are, their truth. And it doesn't matter if I have 80 million followers or 10. This podcast is not going anywhere regardless, because I'm retired from the Army and I don't need to worry about, you know, paying my bills or paying this or that. All my bills are paid for, and this podcast is still happening. One subscriber or a million.
Untainted, real life.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love
Untainted
that,
and the way it should be. But I thank you, sir, for being on here, and
I'll
me
be
and
happy
you
to
will
come
definitely
back
stay in contact.
Pardon?
I said we'll definitely stay in contact after this,
Yes.
because I'm thinking I want to become more involved in the movement now that talking to you.
Wonderful, wonderful. And like I said, we have even better, you know, people in the organization that you could interview and have a good time, you know, on the podcast as well, and just give some depth, because my perspective is really my perspective. I've been 15 years in the organization, and you know, I gave a testimony to my, you know, the first Happiness Academy that I went to. And, you know, everybody's has their own perspective and their own timeline. And it'd be great to see a diverse, you know, a diverse number of Raëlians on here. It's great that you've had, you said Sylvain Roshan on here.
Oh yeah.
That's great. And it's an honor for me to be here, and thank you. So, you know, it's probably be a good thing for me to enter an email that you'd like into our database to receive invitations to our events and publications and important information.
I would love that. I would love that very much so. Yeah. And it looks like, there you go. So maybe you'll see her there. Lady Daniel is going to be at the Happiness Academy this year.
Oh, sweet. One. Okay. So, Lady Daniel, you're going to Japan?
Yeah. Yeah, she is.
Japan. Okay. Wonderful. I'll be there too this year. That's the one I'm going to go to.
Yeah. Me and her were talking about that and everything yesterday. And I said, yeah, I got a hold of Jerry and everything. And she's like, oh, that's awesome. And she was like, I'm going to the Happiness Academy. I said, well, then you'll have to tell him hi for me when you get there.
Oh, wonderful. Lady Danielle, look me up on Facebook so I can know who you are. Wonderful.
Yeah,
That's great, Jay. Thank you so much. And like I said, I'd like to come back again, have opportunity to talk about the swastika and its importance in our history and its importance in today and our future. So
that'll be the next podcast, everyone. You heard it. We're talking about the swastika and how to bring it back from the brink of what the regime of the Nazis did to it before.
Yes, yes. So rehabilitation of the rehabilitation of the
There
swastika.
you go.
Uh-huh.
Yes, rehabilitation, because it was used in ancient times for different symbols of love and peace and luck and love and light,
Yes.
and it was used the wrong way. So we'll get into that on the next podcast with Jerry, and we'll talk about bringing that symbol back the way it was meant to be.
Fantastic, Jay. Thank you so much. Thank you to your viewers. Reach out to the organization anytime. It's www.rael.org, and we'd be happy to hear from you.
All right, man. Thank you. And as always, Galactic family, we love you. And everyone here is wonderful. Like I'm on top of the world right now. Meeting Jerry, experiencing, all that I've experienced in this world. It makes my spirit just blast light. And that's what it should. Everybody in here should look at themselves just today. Look at yourselves and say, what is one thing that I could do better to grow myself? And just do one thing today, everyone. And I'm going to do the same thing. And we'll come back next time and we'll say, what was that one thing you changed in your life that made things better for you? All right, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. And Jerry, love you, guy. We will stay in touch. And this has been an awesome, awesome podcast, guys. Thank you for being here.